And what I was kind of saying via text and emails to some of these folks is that, hey, this is so awesome, you know, that immediately it was getting rehomed. This came up and we really thought that, you know, this would be the spot for it. And I mean, as we were looking at it, I think we'll all agree on that. What I really liked about it, it was like, you know, this piece about the island is moving closer to the island. It sort of had its own mind. I'll take you briefly through the journey, how this piece came to be. First of all, credit Chegg Lowry, who was on the Humboldt Arts Council board at the time. He sort of made this, he was a motor behind this that made this happen, and he started talking to me about it, and we were up at Cutamene at our place, at our center of the world. He said, what do you think about doing this? And I said, well, that'd be great. What do you think it should be? And I said, well, it's not gonna be what I think it should be. It's gonna be what Uncle Brian thinks it should be. It's gonna be his. If Brian can give us his vision, I'll make that happen. And he came up with this concept. And the centerpiece, you know, I think everybody kind of knows, but tell everybody again, that piece, that's Indian Island right there. So that's the focal point. And Uncle chose that ceremonial obsidian blade because that's what we do at World Renewal. And we know that's what we people were doing, was renewing their world when the massacre happened. So that had to be the centerpiece. And another part of the story, really important part of the story for me, one of my big takeaways is that to create texture, Uncle had me, I think Sonny and his son Jasper paint it with our hands and to like put ourselves into that. And it was like, what? I came out here to do some painting and you're having me paint with my hands? So this time around, 21 years later, mural team, a lot of them that are my kids or our family, they weren't even born then. So guess what I had them do, right? So I had them put their imprint, put themselves into this piece, and it showed up there. It showed up on the redwood trees as well. And you know, I think that was a really nice way of connecting between the generations as well. It's about a journey. It's about the journey of the people. First and foremost, we're on Wiyot land, so it's about Wiyot people. In the basket, we're floating through these choppy waters, Humboldt Bay. So it's about the tough times that we're going through and have been going through for a long time. Indian Island, and as they make their way down this way, it's called Into the Spawning Ground, typical work by Brian Tripp. That speaks about the generations, speaks about how do we know where home is? We all make our way back home, just like the fish, the other things in the natural world. And then we renew from there. And at the very end, we have the Mother Medicine keeping everything in balance. Attributing, you know, our traditional ways of healing. Redwood trees, those are calling out all the other tribes that how we work together and assist with each other and support each other. The design up top, one thing that some of the Wiyot people, Cheryl Seidner, so we need to have that design up there. That was Leona Wilkinson's design. And so we put that up there. Moons, different phases, expressions of world renewal. For us, the crescent moon is one we pray to live a long time. One of my big contributions was the Dentalia shells, and I started off by just wrapping them around Indian Island, showing that culture and how we're all wrapped up in our culture. And it was also a contrasting thought that money doesn't make the world go around. Money just goes around the world for us. It's part of us that way. It always has a a different interpretation for us than this view of money that we have today. Anyways, and then so we had to link the two people together, the rock packers that are balancing the world. And Uncle called that their DNA. It's how people are connected and how we pass things on, and it goes on and on and on. With that, Mr. Brian Tripp.
What I'm doing, what I'm going through now, is I'm just so happy to be here today. It's a perfect place to have it finish up at. I used to come into this museum when I was around and walk through it, and all the baskets hanging on the walls. And, I mean, this place has been an inspiration to me for I don't know how long. Yeah, so you know how long it will be around, who knows? But to have it here and being here in this place is like it's an honor. I'm totally thank you, Clark Museum, for having it here. So yeah, it's totally you know, I just can't tell you how grateful I am for having it here. Alan spearheading the whole thing, and you know, you guys working on it. But it's dedicated to the Wiyot people. Yeah. And it goes like this. It's called Indian Island. Hey, nut, hi-yat, hi-yay, hey. Hey, it, hey, it, hey, it, hey, it, hey, hey. Hi-yat, hi-yay. Hi-yat, hi-yat, hey-yat, hey-yat. Hi-yat, hi-yat, hey-yat, hey-yay. Hey-yat, hey-yay. Hey-yat, hey-yay. Hey, no way. Hey-yay-yay-yay. Hi-yay. Out on the island, in the middle of the bay, the sun set twice on the people that day. The world they were making, someone else was taking, saying, Eureka, I found it, claiming it's mine to own. Out on the island in the middle of the bay, surrounded by greed that had come and planted its seed, the sun set twice on the people that day. Then came muffled silence, sneaking up out of the dark. Something so evil, the dogs couldn't even bark. Not a word was spoken until the silence was broken by the sound of dying, so much crying. It seemed like the end of the world. Out on the island in the middle of the bay, the sun set twice on the people that day. Not giving up breath, not giving in to death, survivors scattered into their darkest night. We know it's not over. We know it's not done. We know for us, our fight's just begun. Meanwhile, we must take time and regroup. We must take time and rest, because we know daylight's coming and we have to give it our best. I got to go back about vine line, bloodline, spilled, splashed, splattered, bodies broken, beaten, battered, faith torn, tested, shattered to the core. Not giving up breath, not giving into death, survivors scattered into their darkest night. Out on the island in the middle of the bay, the sun set twice on the people that day. We know it's not over. We know it's not done. We know for us, our fight's just begun. But meanwhile, we must take time and regroup. We must take time and rest, because we know daylight's coming and we have to give it our best. Out on the island in the middle of the bay, the sun set twice on the people that day. Then came cold morning, revealing light, all brand new and shining bright, making promises of a brand new day with a brand new way for the island out in the middle of the bay. hey it, net, hi it, hey, hey, hey it, hey it, hey it, hey it, hey it, hi it, hi it.